Welcome to the Legion Outriders podcast.
You got a lot of guts coming here.
Your source for the latest Legion news, opinion, and analysis.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
And now, here's your hosts.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
John Archiquette.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Matt Turner.
I'm not afraid.
And Joshua Gray.
You will be.
Welcome back, Outriders, to the Legion Outrider podcast. John, Josh, and Matt here in beautiful, sunny Las Vegas, Nevada, the hive of scum and villainy. We're pretty excited because Matt just got back from a little trip.
Yes, yeah. I just came back from GAMA, which is the Game Manufacturers Trade Retailer Convention. There was a lot of live streaming, so if you're paying attention to the Facebook feeds and all that, I'm sure you probably saw some notifications.
So that's probably the minor thing that we're excited about, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
There's other
we're
things
recording this on Tuesday. The game's 2 days away, but we're really excited that Matt went to GAMA. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if he
I'm
was
excited.
coming back, so we missed him.
Get hype. Get hype, my people. It's almost here.
We got 2 days left on the calendar until the official game drop. I mean, people have been dropping some spoilers here and there on the internet, but
Probably tomorrow, if you're listening to this on today, it drops. But
yeah, we're holding strong here. But we got a few games in and got a chance to actually play the full game itself. Really excited about that. We're going to talk
all 800 points.
Yep, we're going to talk about how that fared. We're going to look at, of course, some more information from GAMA because having a little inside scoop always helps.
Oh, man, I don't know how inside it was these days with everything being streamed, but I will do my best.
And Josh, do you have anything you're going to rant about today?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of funny. You mentioned kind of the whole it comes out on Thursday thing,
Yeah.
but the big thing that's roiling the internet Legion community right now, especially on Facebook. There's a lot of folks, Amazon, a couple of folks in Australia, that already have their stuff. Like their pre-orders got sent out and they got them on like Friday. And like apparently a bunch of people are very upset about that. And I don't know why they're really upset about that.
That's why street dates are a thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, they violated the street date. They shouldn't be allowed to distribute anymore. And it's like, come on, man. I get it, but, stuff happens. People live in the hinterlands of certain places. And
shipping is a concern if you want to make stuff.
Right?
Well, you're rolling the dice with ordering things online like that because you don't know it's going to come the day it's supposed to because you never know. They might have a situation where they're not getting it till Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And, you roll the dice with it.
I've always shied away from ordering online just because of the fact that, I want it on the street date, and I also want to support my local stores. But, I don't want to order online and then get something, 5 days after it comes out. So props to you guys. If you went ahead and took that risk to maybe get it 5 days later and it showed up 5 days early, good on you guys. That's awesome.
But, if I got it, 2 days ago, I'd be sitting at home maybe putting miniatures together, but I wouldn't be able to come down and celebrate with everybody else like at my friendly local game store. So, luckily here at Power 9, we got a pretty good community already of people who are, looks like they're going to be showing up for our live stream event on Thursday, going to be playing on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. No, all the local game stores, if they're getting involved in Legion, should be running a organized kit launch event kit, basically, that'll run Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I think we've got an interview with Zach Reyburn from Fantasy Flight Organized Play, head of Organized Play at Fantasy Flight, who will talk about these kits a little bit more. But basically, you can look forward to a lot of launch events. They're going to be focused mainly on build and plays. There's going to be some fun little challenge events. I think one of them is like some speeders and troopers versus an ATST and some other troopers. So that should be cool. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the deep end, though, on Saturday. We're going to be running the normal events, but for those that have their 800 points built and ready, we're just going to go straight into a regular tournament. So that should be a lot of fun.
Do we get bonus points if we have our entire army painted on Saturday?
I mean, all the karma in the world, man. Thumbs up.
You cheated, though.
Yeah.
I didn't cheat, though. But
cheated.
I painted Matt's. I have not painted my starter box.
Okay.
They're the store's demo copy that also, since it's my store, they're mine.
Perks of being your own boss.
Yeah.
So, of course, we've got the hobby news coming up in a little bit. But right now, we got to get into the Star Wars news. What is the latest and greatest, other than, Star Wars Legion coming out?
Well, sure, just steal all my thunder. That was my big thing. Now, so the Last Jedi digital has come out. A lot of people watching that. I don't think you can't go on any kind of social media platform not see like all the behind the scenes things that they've been talking about. But the actual Blu-ray launch will be the 27th, which is interesting because on the 29th, Ready Player One comes out, and apparently Spielberg has come out and said that yes, there are indeed Star Wars spoilers in there. In a movie based on a book all about Easter eggs, there should be some interesting, fun stuff in there. So keep your eyes peeled if you're going to go see that. Also, Disney announced that they're going to be doing a Star Wars Nights on May the 3rd and 4th. So tickets are going to be going on sale for that on the 27th for season ticket holders and 29th for everybody else. Basically, they keep the park open later, and they have a bunch of Star Wars themed events. They encourage people to wear costumes. So
is that Disney World or Disneyland?
They said Disneyland in the Twitter post I was reading. So
okay, which one is that?
That's the one in California.
Okay, I mean,
holy crap!
I can never keep the two straight. Don't feel bad.
Look, when you grow up in the great Hoth of the Midwest, like we're not anywhere near any Disney facility.
Wow,
so
out in Moose Lake, Wisconsin, or wherever you're from. But no, so actually I'm thinking about going to check that out, but that sounds like a lot of fun. And then, of course, Legion launch. So we already went over all the events going on for that. And do get involved. If you have any kind of community, show up, support it, let people see that you're interested in the game and have fun. That's how successful communities for a game like this are built. I mean, you could stay at home and listen to us or watch our live stream or something like that. But hey, if you get a chance, go out and, engage.
But see, it's the digital age. So go out to your local store and watch our live stream on your digital device.
That would be bonus, more karma. So, yeah, absolutely. Do that if that is available to you.
Be like, sorry, opponent, I can't understand you. I've got my headphones in. I'm listening to the Legion Outriders podcast live stream.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. They're more important than you are.
Josh is screaming about something now, and I've got to figure out what he's saying. So it's important.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the live stream for that. It should be a good time.
Yeah, no, we're going to be setting up a little commentator's booth and everything, so we should watch some people playing, and then we can make fun of them and how badly they're rolling their dice.
As everybody fumbles through like their first full game and all that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably going to be. I mean, when Matt and I were playing, it was. We had like probably 4 or 5 times we had to stop and like pour through the rule book and like, okay, are we doing this right?
This may not come as a shock to many people, but going from a 3x3 to a 6x3 and playing with the full table rules and objectives and all that really opens up the game. Things start kind of clicking into place that you may have read about until you see them on the battlefield. We were doing a surprising amount of like note taking and going back to the rules and I think this is how it's reading, and but that was really fun. But we should see a lot of that.
Yeah, and shout out to the Star Wars Legion community for answering a few of our questions.
Yay! Yeah.
Sometimes we have to crowdsource your answers if the rulebook isn't clear enough.
Oh man, this is my favorite part of like unpacking a game, especially a new one, is just kind of getting down to the nitty gritty nuts and bolts and like, okay, this is what's written. How does it interact in this situation? Are we interpreting this right? And I love being like, oh no, if you think about this, then you see that you were doing this wrong. Great, awesome, please, yeah. So if we do talk about things, please let us know, because I want to have a complete understanding of this game at some point. I know it is not today, maybe not even tomorrow, but soon.
Hopefully before like Wave 3 drops.
Yeah, no.
It's like discovering
Wave
the brave
30.
new world, man. It's like, hey, well, maybe I shouldn't poke that animal. Okay, live and learn.
Well, with getting this, 800-point game underway, we had to have a second kit, which it hurt me deep inside because that second kit wasn't painted.
I offered it to, but you're like, no, it's St. Patrick's weekend. I'm far too Irish to come into work today. So.
I haven't got my Ancestry.com thing back yet, but I don't think I'm at all Irish.
Cultural appropriation? Oh, my God.
Which explains my lack of ability to do anything productive on Sunday, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I did manage to finish up that first set that we had for the demo kit, and you know what? Like, it's a beautiful kit. It's kind of intimidating when you first open it up, but I managed to pull through it, and it took me 4 6-hour sessions.
What an inspiring story. You're so strong.
But honestly, like...
But you had fun with it, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm admittedly a huge painter, and that's my biggest
physically
part of
huge
this,
painter, yes. He looks like a bear holding a toothpick when he's painting. It's kind of ridiculous.
All hunched over.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, like the first thing that I had done the last time we talked was the Stormtroopers, and I knocked those out in a night. And if you listen to the last podcast, episode 3, I gave a little bit more detailed approach on how to get those done. But the rest of the kit, I managed to finish in 3 6-hour sessions. And if you follow the tutorials like we talked about that Sir Astro does, and a few of the other ones that you can get on YouTube, they're really pretty simple. And depending on how much effort you want to put into it, you should be able to get, your first starter kit ready within a week or so.
Yeah, a little bit of applied time, budget your time a little bit, and just sit down and get to it. Put on some music or one of the videos and
throw on Last Jedi, whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
And for me, that's one of those things where it's like it kind of seems like a Thursday release date is kind of working against them because you've got all of these other events that are going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Doesn't really give folks a whole lot of time to paint and prep and do all that other stuff.
I mean, that's what the launch event is geared around, is build and plays, painting events, things like that. So are you going to be entering that, John? Are you going to...
The painting event?
Yeah,
I think so. It's one troop or one core choice and one commander, correct?
I believe so. I'll have to go back and double check. But we're going to be doing the judging on Saturday, so...
I was looking at it, looking at the rules today on that. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
It's one core unit. There's a category for best core unit, best commander, best support, best heavy.
Oh, there's one for
it's
each.
all of
Okay,
it. It's the 4 categories of troops that we have out and available. So everybody will see who's got the best gray ATST. Woo! Yeah, right.
No, you won't be able to submit my demo set for consideration.
That's
cool.
No head starts, John.
Because he's
Sorry.
going to be submitting his demo set
no, exactly.
for best consideration.
No, it was really hard. I told him to do the thing, and he did the thing. So,
are you going to enter it all? Are you
no. I'll be organized. Well, I'm going to enter the tournament, but I won't be entering any of the individual painting or anything.
Well, they say that the most enjoyable thing is sitting in judgment of other people.
I mean, it's one of my favorite things, so I'd agree with that.
Are we going to see any black and pink and gray?
Not pink, purple. Yes. You will see them out there for the painting competition. Unfortunately, timing-wise, some stuff came up. It's spring break, so kids and all of that stuff. I'm not going to really have a whole lot of chance to get out and play a whole lot that weekend just because timing. But I'm definitely going to be furiously painting Thursday and Friday to at least bring some stuff up here for Saturday to have it judged and found totally wanting, because that's how I roll.
There's a lot of menial tasks that you have to do in assembling and cleaning the models and everything like that. You've got a 5 and an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
If you never want to see those pieces again, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. My boy who loves Star Wars will just sit there and go pew 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 with all of them, and I'll end up finding a head glued on to in an armpit, and I'll handle that.
I don't see any different from how I would be behaving with them, so I won't judge him for that.
Well, I'm still a coin flip away from deciding if I want to do an Endor base or a crate base, because those are both from what I saw with the guy, and I tried to remember his name because I gave him a shout out last time, but after I saw that, I'm like...
It was one of the game stores, I guess. I think it was in NorCal, but
yeah, I think you're right, yeah. But again, shout out to that guy because I'm looking at that, I'm like, I might try to mimic that because that was cool. But on the other hand, we also don't have a crate mat here, so...
Not yet. Let's get cracking on that. Come on.
Well, we're talking about doing our next table setup, and I'm going through some tutorials on how to do the big trees.
On
Endor.
Do
so I'm thinking
the forest moon of Endor. Endor's a gas giant.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, all we need to do, the only thing we need to do a crate setup is basically a 6x3 red piece of fabric and about 25 pounds of kosher salt, and bingo, crate board.
So we'll just gather up all the salt at the X-Wing tournaments and build a board out of it.
Wow.
Sorry. Got cooler in here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's enough hobby news for the day. So, Josh, because you've been so busy with everything, you unfortunately did not get to play this week.
I did not. I know. I'm so sad that I didn't.
It's a good thing you're not on a podcast.
I know, right? I'm slacking in my duties, and I must apologize to everybody.
That's okay.
It's all right, though. Matt and I did.
I'm living vicariously through you two.
Yeah, here, let us tell you about this awesome game that we play that you don't.
Yeah.
So, once again, I had the Rebels because Matt had put together a whole 800-point list for his Imperials already. And I was like, well, I guess I'll take the Rebels. Not that it really.
Yeah.
But it's not pulling teeth for me to
just
play Rebels.
assumed,
I'm pretty much just, I guess I'm establishing I'm just going to be a Rebel player.
Yeah.
Like, by de facto, I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know any of the rules for the Imperials anymore.
Yeah, I've actually warmed up to the Imperial. I thought it was going to be 50-50. I'm leaning a little bit more Imperial now, but we'll see.
I'm still sold on the Rebels, though. I'm even though I still, I said before that the Stormtroopers were, better troop choice. I still love my Rebels.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when those air speeders hit the skies and start raining down their fiery justice.
So did you guys proxy any of the units that aren't in the core sets? Or?
No, so basically we came up with as close to 800 points as we can get. So my Imperial list was 797, and I think we're going to be talking about lists later. I'll go over it a little bit more there. But basically it was a double core set build. So 4 units of troops with all their upgrades. 2 units of speeder bikes with long-range comms, and Vader with his fun Force shenanigans, and I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I ran just the 4 Rebel Trooper squads, 2 Z6s, and 2 of the Ion Troopers, and Luke and 2 ATRTs. I think I took the rotary cannons on those instead of the laser cannons, which ended up being a better choice, I think, with
they're
that
pretty
current
solid
build. Yeah,
they're cheaper too.
They are, yeah, 5 points cheaper. That may change when we see more ATSTs in the meta, but I think for right now that was probably the better option. How did it go, Matt? Were you able to give me my first loss?
I won easily.
Yay!
Yes, it was no contest.
Way to knock him off his pedestal.
So, yeah, we ended up playing key positions, which was basically we took turns placing out 3 objective markers, and you wanted to be holding them at the end of the game. We set up with the major offensive, so it's kind of the L-shaped in opposite corners of the board with the rapid reinforcements rule. So you're basically able to hold 2 units in reserve until the end, basically the beginning, end of the second turn because they come in already activated.
Basically deep strike for E40K people.
Yeah. So that was really cool to kind of sit down and play with those. We definitely had to look up some rules as we were going, but no, it was a lot of fun. I know I played a much sounder tactical game than John, but I didn't roll as well, and that's what I'm sticking to. So
no, you did have some of the worst armor saves I've ever seen.
I got really excited about Stormtroopers realizing that their red defensive dice were really nice. The key to rolling red defensive dice is actually defending with them, and I think I was a little below average, but still, it was a really close game.
It was, it ended up being, down to the last turn.
So with the rapid reinforcements rule, how exactly does that play? Because we haven't really talked about a lot of these condition cards and everything.
Yeah,
what range?
a lot.
I mean, it's a deep strike.
So it's essentially
familiar with the concept, but what are the ranges?
So
Can
on
you
the
put
second
it in
round,
the enemy's rear? How does that work?
Well, before the game starts,
only if you ask nicely and buy him dinner first.
You nominate 2 units and you take their order tokens and you put them to the side of the board. To make sure that they're not involved in the battle in any way.
Yeah, so basically, at the end of round 2, once both of your troops...
At the end of the command phase in round 2...
then you select up to 2 units. And then after that point, once you're both... all of your troops... or all of your core choices have been
all the
used.
units that you had selected to be held off the board, you put their command token into your command pile, basically.
Yep.
They can't be allocated orders or anything. And you can only then bring them on the board. They have to be range 2 or further away from an enemy troop. So that's still quite a bit of board space if you're playing like we were. Mm-hmm. But the key is they have to. So I think we both picked 2 units of troops basically to hold in reserve. All of your other troops have to have already done their orders, and then when you start pulling the order tokens for the units that are held in reserve, you pick the spot where they come in, deploy them, and then they're already counted as activated for that turn. So it's basically at the end of turn 2 when they come onto the board and become a presence in the game.
Yeah, but unlike 40K, you don't get to drop in and shoot or drop in and charge.
Gotcha.
You drop in and you count as already having acted.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. But still, being able to deep strike an ATST is going to be oof.
Was that?
Well, you guys keep
you-
talking.
I
I'm
mean,
going to
is
read a
there,
card.
I mean, is there really? I mean, is it no restrictions or?
I believe.
I mean,
2 non-commander trooper units. So
okay,
no.
Trooper
okay,
units,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I was gonna say
I'm here now.
That was an
Yeah.
option.
Okay, but I mean, depending on what we get for our spec ops, we've heard.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
We've heard
yeah.
people talking about snipers and things like that. If you set up to maximize cover on an advance and then basically deep strike units of snipers in behind them, oof.
It was an interesting play mechanic for sure. And the objectives that we had, and this is kind of an interesting one that brought up some questions. We have objectives that were placed on terrain, and they normally within the rules, if you claim an objective, it actually travels with the leader of that unit.
Yes.
However, this particular scenario, it required the unit leaders to be in base-to-base contact at the end of the game with that piece of terrain. So, which opens up some interesting questions.
So it's kind of a take and hold kind of thing.
Yeah, as it was written in the Learn to Play guide, we were trying to do it right, whereas traveling with the guy, but then it didn't make any sense for the scenario. But going through and looking at the advanced rules guide online, yes, it says that there are some that stay put. And I'm assuming that's what's going to be the case with the upcoming moisture evaporators and comm towers expansions. So.
Exactly. And I think that's why we're seeing
You're not going to take the moisture evaporator around with you?
You could.
But that kind of brings up the purpose of why they're going to have the objective terrain that actually has the pre-established base size. Mm-hmm. Because, one of the objective pieces that we had was essentially, a giant house that had,
we picked a piece of terrain,
footprint.
we put a little token on it, and it's like, okay, well, I guess we got to stay touching this house. So
so foreseeably, we could have had every model on the board touching somewhere on the perimeter of this house.
And then chasing each other around the house, trying to shoot each other?
I'm not. You're already jumping ahead to turn 5 and 6.
Sorry.
We actually did do that at one point.
I had like one guy left in contact, and John was trying to chase him down.
But it was a really close game, and like you said, it really came down to him after he failed all his armor saves, and then it became a
and
more
also
tactical
grossly misplayed Vader. I kicked myself so hard. This is one of those lessons where you learn the importance of when you play your command cards and things like that. Because I grossly misplayed and just left him. Basically, Luke got 3 back-to-back attacks on Vader.
Oof. So what I figured out with playing Rebels every single time now, I figured out that Luke, even though he isn't quite a match for Vader when it comes to just straight dice and number of wounds, he can get 3 back-to-back attack sessions in there if you play that Son of Skywalker card. Yeah. You hit me first, and I took a couple wounds from that.
Yeah, I knocked you down 3 out of 6, so I was feeling pretty good. And then
I retaliated.
Oh, no.
And then, because I knew you had already spent one of your... And granted, you played your ambush card, which was the 1 pip, and I played the Son of Skywalker, I believe, which is also 1 pip.
Yeah, and you did get the roll
and I
in
got
your
the roll
favor.
off, so that, there were a few dice rolls that swung in my favor. But that one, it allowed me to then do 2... back-to-back attack sessions, which I didn't even have to do because you failed your armor saves so miserably that I managed to kill him in just 2 attacks.
Come on, Vader. Why no armor surge? Come on.
I think it was I hit you with, I want to say 8 or 9, and you failed all of them but 1.
It was a lot. It was very many.
Yeah, so that was, a fluke. I'm not going to chalk that
I
one
hope
up.
so. Holy cow.
If there's moral victories in Legion, you can take a moral victory from that one.
Well, I appreciate that.
Can you spend dodge tokens in melee? Oh, never mind, because you activated first, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, so you wouldn't have had a chance to force reflexes to spin up a dodge
Yep.
token. Disregard.
Yeah, so there were a number of
thinking.
things that worked against it. But with Luke, like I said, with having that, it really makes up for the fact that you're not hitting quite as hard as Darth Vader.
But you're just pounding away.
In the game that we played, I knew that you didn't have the dual attack on there, which is why I was basically trying to kite my guys away from you the way I was, because I knew you were just going to charge and then you get all choppy and basically wreck my day. You ended up doing it anyways, but so that's a powerful card.
It really is.
That's a really powerful card.
And I threw the force push on Luke again. It worked out again. It would have came down to a tie for objectives. I had Luke within range 1 to be able to throw his stormtroopers off of the objective.
Nice.
That's the last move.
Yeah.
So it didn't come down to that. But.
So even with that, I think I had a chance for a tie and just threw it all away. Threw it.
So that force push, I'll continue to advocate for that. It's a pretty powerful card. Also,
sucks.
I also did realize another thing too. You can't do battle meditation, force reflexes, and force push all simultaneously. Because Luke only has 2 force power slots.
Oh.
Vader has 3.
Yeah. So you cheated.
Thing.
So basically I won. Got it. Yeah. Awesome.
That's okay. That's
Woo,
the
high
only
five
way
me.
he wins. Yeah, he's bribed with the dice, too.
I think I was the one that helped build your Luke, so.
Shh. I'm pretty sure you did throw that battle meditation on the last minute. Like, you're down on points here. Why don't you take this?
Yeah, not realizing. Oh, well.
Yeah, that's another thing, too, with the 2 core sets. The Imperials will have a points advantage. I don't think there's no amount of cards you can put on the Rebels to equate a fully equipped.
Well, you didn't even take your grappling hooks. I mean, come on.
I didn't. That's true.
So there's like 12 points right there.
My Rebels are afraid of heights. What can I say?
Are they? I didn't know that. I thought they were afraid of bathing.
Now that the playmat that we had, the full 6x3, that turned out pretty nice.
Yeah.
But it looks like FFG is getting into the playmat game now. We saw them roll out.
They definitely have been. They have a line of playmats for their other games. Obviously, X-Wing has a whole slew of different themed boards. They have some out for Rune Wars, some of the grassy fields that we're going to be stealing for probably building an Endor mat or something like that. But yeah, no, they announced last week their little 2D kind of battle terrain mat.
Josh is shaking his head.
Finger on the pulse of the community. Like I maybe saw about 10% of the people commenting on Reddit and the FFG forums. They're like, "Hey, I like these. These are." All of the people that I saw saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy these," were like 4 X-Wing. Okay. And a lot of people were like, "Why are you putting 2D terrain on a game with 3D terrain?" Like
that was my thought process.
It seems very incongruous to put, okay, hey, I'm going to place this house on this cliff edge, half on, half off. And it just, it doesn't look like it's going to be, I don't know. It's just, and then you've got, paths and walkways and, people were fighting over whether that's obscure terrain or not. It's like, okay, now I can just put a couple of terrain pieces on these 2 choke points, and I basically sealed off everything but this one way for us to attack.
Let me go ahead and try to counteract that by saying I think the mats are beautiful.
They are, absolutely.
Like,
I'm not gonna argue with that. But
why are you arguing that, Josh?
Because that's what I do. I argue everything.
Mr. Unpopular Opinion. But okay. So this is one of the actual benefits from GAMA, is I got to sit in on the Fantasy Flight kind of little panel that they did. I got to ask Andrew Navarro, head of Fantasy Flight. I was like, "Hey, these mats came out. How are we supposed to use them? In a game of True Line of Sight, it doesn't make sense." And he's like, "Well, so we wanted to have something," paraphrasing, of course, that could basically be treated as a 2D. You can just do it as flat terrain, but still looks interesting to play. But for those people that don't have terrain, you could say, "Oh, we're going to call out these elements on the board and say that they're line of sight blocking," or something like that. Just basically to help people out. Would it be used in a tournament situation? I doubt it. But if you're playing at home and you don't have a game store with terrain, or you don't feel like building it yourself, it's an option. I don't know if it's a particularly great one, but they do look pretty.
Now, did they say anything about you having to use official FFG mats at all for?
They haven't said that. So this is another piece of information that I got from Zach at Fantasy Flight, was that we can expect to see a full tournament document with those kind of questions answered within a week of launch. So hopefully,
all of our questions will be solved.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be great?
Or at least all of our questions, we can start queuing up the ones that need a fact.
I'm sure there will be facts coming for weeks after launch.
Yeah, I know with the battle mats that we have here at Power 9, I'm looking forward to getting some fully painted models out there. And of course, since I don't have the models in my hands right now, all I can really do is put together a list.
And at least going back to the mats thing, at least it saves people from playing on Warhammer mats, right?
Ooh,
I mean, there's plenty of mat options out there, and definitely we're getting a couple. You don't have to build a table from scratch, but
So
you're going to be spoiled for choices. There's a lot of third-party companies jumping into Legion. I know Gale Force, they were putting out, I happened to see a couple of little terrain pieces. They're actually making some force generators, some big sphere or disc-like ones that look really good. They also had some Tatooine themed, calling them like space huts or something like that.
Yeah.
The scale looked a little small, and by a little I mean like half the size it should be. So definitely check into it. And maybe if you've got a little Jawa village, that would be cool. But
and I'll say one thing complimentary about the mats: the fact that they're modular and that you can plug and play together to make different areas and looking. You know, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, why not just make a 6x3 mat? Why 2 3x3s?" But by doing that, you can make points that match up with the other mats, because I'm sure these aren't going to be the only 2 desert canyon-y looking mats they're going to do. You know, you can change the configuration of how the mats plug in together, so that if you are using it as a 2D only, you know, no 3D option, at least you have a different play area other than the standard 6x3 that doesn't change. So that's really cool.
Going along with that too, it makes me wonder if later on, if they start expanding to larger size games and they make some options available, if we'll see maybe a 4 square, we're doing 3x3x3x3, or 6x6, I guess you would say.
Sure,
that'd be interesting for like.
Well, I mean, it is 6x4 for the Grand Army scheme, so maybe we'll get some
a little bit more there.
We'll get something more there.
I'm sure we'll eventually do an apocalypse style, event with just bring everything.
But for right now, all we're dealing with is 800 points, and I know the list I've put together so far. That's pretty much the point.
Did you
sorry to sidetrack from the list?
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah,
my bad.
Jeez, you had a perfectly awesome segue, and you're just like crap
I know,
all
I
over.
screwed it up. Because not only do I complain, I also ruin everything.
Ruin everything.
This should not be a new thing for anybody.
So, Josh, what kind of Rebel list do you have put together?
I don't know. Let me find the trash can and see, because that's where Rebels belong.
That's not a trash can. That's R2D2. How dare you?
So I'm assuming you got some Imperials, right?
I do have an Imperial list.
Go for
I've been really, really torn as to how I want to. If I had to make one list that could be like a take on all comers kind of list, what I'm going to do, and it's just really hard at this point to wedge in Vader and an ATST. I've put some builds together. I don't really like them because that really limits you to basically 3 units of troopers, and then that's it. You've only got 5 units. And the one thing that I think we've all kind of seen is that volume of fire is going to be something that's going to be a game winner. Whether it's the Z6s or something like that, throwing the most dice possible is going to be what wins you games. Because, even though they're white dice, it's a lot of them. So
not based on my experience.
Well, the white dice is better than the red dice, though, right?
So
maybe if you're rolling it, holy cow.
So the list that I've got right now kind of has a bit of a skinny Vader. I only went with two force powers, so it's Vader with force push and force reflexes, and then I've got 4 units of stormtroopers.
Hold on, wait. No saber throw?
No saber throw. Yeah. I know.
What the hell's wrong with you?
A lot of things. But
continue making horrible decisions.
Yeah, probably. And this is a preliminary list, so we'll see how it works.
No, absolutely. I don't take me giving you flack as actually critiquing it, because we got to play all the combinations, see everything on the board.
And basically what it came down to is, as I was putting this list together, I was trying to wicker in as many units as possible. Mm-hmm. So, Saber Throw was nice, but looking at like Force Push and kind of the advantages that Force Push has, a 3 dice attack at range 2 is nice for Vader.
I mean, you don't need to saber throw if you can just pull somebody and then walk into melee and chop them to pieces.
Yeah.
So it was a risk reward kind of thing, and I haven't seen. I'm expecting there to be a lot more terrain options on the table than what we saw in the 800-point games.
Sure.
Or I'm sorry, in the demo kit games.
Yep.
So the demo kit games, for all intents and purposes, if you didn't have houses or structures that we fortunately did, you had a lot of. It was very, very open. Mm-hmm. You had the barricades there, but you had the ability to throw that saber a lot more. I'm kind of guarding against the fact that I'm going to be able to, even with a speed 1 move with Vader, I'm going to be able to maneuver him a little bit more, and I'm not going to be having as much opportunity to throw the saber just because line of sight may be blocked, units may be behind cover, ta-da.
And that's going to really require a decent amount of line of sight blocking terrain, which as any wargamer in any system knows, that's crucial to having a good experience. That's not just 2 armies standing on opposite sides.
Cool, I'm going to put my ATST on the opposite sides of the board and just mortar pod the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Well, so, and I'm not really sold on Vader as my unit commander. Going forward into the game.
I'm waiting for Veers, chomping at the bit for Veers.
He's great if he gets within range 1 and choppy, and he's good to be able to panic units when you play the I forget which card it is, but the one that lets you
Master of Evil.
Master of Evil that lets you assign the 3 suppression tokens. That's a really nice ability.
Oh, I felt that one yesterday.
Yeah,
you did.
But it's at first blush so far, Vader just seems really hard to be effective with just because of the movement limitations.
I think after we get some more units on the table, people that are going to be playing Vader, that's going to be a focus part of their army. He's going to be a center point in which informs your strategy. You're going to want to keep him a little bit bubble wrapped until you can walk up to whatever objective it is you're going to and just kill everything there.
Yeah, and he's great for the anti-panic bubble to keep around your troopers. So the way that I'm envisioning playing Vader right now, and we talked about it that in the demo games, the big tendency for everybody that we saw, whether it was on a stream or here in the store, was that people were just marching Vader right up the board. You were saying earlier before we started the show that range 3 matters when you're playing on a 6x3.
Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Everything was condensed on a 3x3 in the demo games, and if you put a character anywhere even remotely near the center of the board, range 3 is everybody. So I'm almost seeing Vader as almost a defensive unit, where he's going to be kind of the stay out of melee range kind of guy.
Yeah, he's going to be a threat bubble
units.
for your people to have to think around.
So a lot of that is what kind of made me go force push instead of saber throw. So just to I know that's a really long-winded explanation.
Is there anything else in your list?
Yes, there is. No, actually, I went with Vader and a 675 point initiative bid. No.
Blue player wins. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure the math is wrong, but public schools. Anyways, so as of right now, and the list that I have right now is 731 points. That's not the final number, just because I haven't really decided where I want to put upgrades on troopers. So at the moment, I've got 4 units of stormtroopers, DLTs on 3 of them, HH-12 on 1 of them, and then the extra stormtrooper in all of them. Right now, that's it for the stormtroopers. That comes out to about 326 points. And then I've got 2 sections of speeder bikes without anything on them. Now, I've got 69 points still available to flavor to taste, right? So if I want to throw some grenades on the troopers or grappling hooks or the comm jammers or long-range comm links or what have you, I've got a little bit of flexibility. But as of right now, that's my unit. So fast attack with the speeder bikes.
Nice unit.
Fast attack with the speeder bikes, and then between the HH-12 and then the DLTs, I think I've got enough anti-armor in there. I mean, yeah, it's only impact 1 on the DLTs, but it's out to range 4. I've still got it. So I think between the speeder bikes and the way I've got my infantry configured, I think I'll be able to handle what armor keywords I'm going to see, assuming either 2 ATRTs, a couple of speeders, not sure what I'm going to see, but I think I'll have enough to be able to punch through all of that. So
and that's kind of a good philosophy to have right now because we don't know what the meta is going to look like.
Right.
So
it sounds like you're just using core units, though, right?
Pretty much.
Core set
yeah,
units.
core set units. I mean,
I didn't hear an
kept,
ATST in there.
ATST.
So,
I wanted to put an ATST in there. I really did, but it was either okay. Now I'm going to have to, that's 200. That's 195 points just to put it on the board. Mm-hmm. So now I'm either losing like a unit. So now my choice is: do I lose both a unit of the way I have it configured now? I've got to lose an entire unit of stormtroopers, and then start taking some of the personnel off the remaining core units. I've got to lose a section of bikes.
Not worth it for you.
Is the ATST worth it points wise to have Vader and everything else on the board? I would rather have 3 shots from a DLT and a rocket from the HH-12 than the linked cannons on or the basic attack on the ATST.
Even when you factor in what General Weiss can bring to it.
See, and I don't know if I'm gonna. I wouldn't have the points to tool up the ATST to the point where General Weiss is even an include. Because even then, let's say I lose a unit of stormtroopers entirely. That's about, depending on which one I lose, that's about 80 points right there. And then I lose a section of speeder bikes. Okay, well, I just shaved, about, bad at math here again, but that's about 150 points. Okay. It's about 160 points. So, okay, that gets me most of the way to just being able to put the ATST on the board. Now, I've still got 69 points that I can add into that, so I could tool the ATST all the way up. And that leaves me with Vader, 3 core units, 1 unit of naked bikes, the stormtrooper units naked, aside from the extras, the heavy weapons specialist and the extra trooper, and now I've got a tooled up ATST that I can only use the arsenal 3 times. Yeah. Because you got to exhaust Weiss to do it. So now I'm taking a recover action when I'd really like to be taking an aim action, and then God forbid I get any ion tokens. 2 ion tokens shuts down an ATST, aside from free actions. So if the enemy brings the ion troopers and is able to push 2 ion tokens onto the ATST, I've got a 240 point unit just sitting there. I hope it's blocking line of sight to somebody, but it's worthless.
It really depends on what map you're starting out with, though, too, because chances are with those mortars, you can start tossing out some suppression tokens and hopefully move off at least one of those ion troopers.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, and that's kind of the neat thing that if you're able to get that mortar off first, if you can activate and you have line of sight, and you can because you're getting one suppression token for just the attack, as long as there's a hit in there somewhere, and then it's got the suppressive keyword, so you're adding another one. So if your opponent was unwise enough to put a infantry unit outside of the range of the commander, then you've got a unit that as soon as that unit activates, you've got the opportunity to at least panic 1 unit straight off the bat.
Yeah, if they get unlucky with their little rally roll. But
well, a viable strategy. I don't know with Vader if with Veers all day, absolutely. I don't know if it's that much of. I don't know if it's worth it at this point with what we have.
And that's kind of like the interesting thing you brought up is really the Imperials are hamstrung at the beginning of the initial setup because of having the 2 most expensive units right there, and it's very hard to squeeze all of that into one list. Now, when Veers drops and Snowtroopers come out, you're going to have a little bit more points flexibility because they're both cheaper than their starter box counterparts. So you might be able to make some more tactically flexible lists once that Wave 1 Imperial stuff actually comes out.
Yeah, and and of course it's Wave 1, right? Cool. It's it's the it's Wave 0, so there's not a whole lot of flexibility there. Par for the course. It's not to be unexpected. But yeah, there's a lot of tough decisions, and that's building the Imperial list. I was surprised just how many tough choices you have with what you have available.
Well,
I mean, usually you would think, oh, it's the core set and these 2 expansions. I'll be able to put all of them on the board, and cool, let's go have fun. Oof.
I want to see this list play. Give me a call next week if you get like a day. We might be able to just. I know you got the kids, but we can head over to your house, maybe play.
Sure, yeah, that's
a
absolutely
mat or something.
I'm interested to see like how your flexibility with the jet bikes work out. Like, do you think that they're going to have as big of an impact in the larger game?
I think they will. Yeah, I mean, because that was the one thing that I saw on the 3x3 with the demo kit is, yeah, they're fast. They move quickly. They being able to, but there wasn't a whole lot of cover to zip them in and out of.
Yeah.
Right. Take the compulsory move, attack, and then zip them behind some cover. You didn't really have that opportunity on such a confined space, especially with displacement rules. And
hold on, I need to write that down.
What's that?
Move, attack, then move again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because the speeder bikes have the compulsory move. Right?
Yes. No, absolutely.
So, move, attack, move. Even on the board, your maneuver options were kind of limited just because the board was really kind of naked.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a chance to zip in and out of cover. I think the speeder bikes are going to be really good, and we talked about it after we played our demo game that if you get speeder bikes in the open, they're going to die fast. Cover one.
That's some of the problems I ran into. That's why I was making the joke about that because
you did the compulsory move, aimed, and then
I was trying to get them a little bit more killy out on the field, but I think what you're saying actually makes a lot more sense and is kind of the realization. I was thinking like move, dodge, fire, or something like that. But yeah, if you can get it where you can like zip between cover, it's a little bit tough because you've still got to worry about that forward arc. But no, if you can set that up, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, and you used one of your units yesterday when you played. You had 2 units, and you used one of them very effectively with flanking and.
Yeah, I was
really
able to pull him up the side
line.
of the board, and but then I ended up letting him get stuck into combat, and you were able to focus fire. So keeping an eye on what can actually draw a line of sight to your bikes, I think is going to be really critical in keeping them alive. But there's a lot of potential for fun, just harassing and zipping around the board and messing with people.
So just going back really quick, editing that list, I took one of the units of the stormtroopers off with DLT, and one of the speeder bikes, and that left me the points to put an ATST with the twin light blaster cannon, the mortar launcher, and General Weiss on the board, and that gets me to 797.
I don't think you need General Weiss.
Yeah, I mean,
Arsenal 2 is still really nice.
Right, but then what that means is that every other unit that I have on there, I've got Vader with the 2 upgrades, but then it's personnel only for the stormtroopers, and again, not seeing how the terrain's going to be put, how many hills we're going to have, things like that. I don't know if I'm going to want grenades, if I'm going to want grappling hooks, so I don't know.
Okay.
It's anyways.
That's enough Empire for me. Yeah. I need a palate cleanser. John, what do you got for Rebels?
All right, so for my Rebel list, I'm going with Luke as the commander. Big surprise. I think that Leia's going to offer some interesting flexibility and a lot more synergy, I think, with the Army, with her ability to toss out dodge tokens and stuff and remove suppression tokens. Often
have I dreamt of a flexible Leia. Why are you laughing?
Oh. Wait till they actually put out the Leia, the Princess Leia with the bikini.
Oh yeah, no,
bikini. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, somebody will model it up. Yeah.
So the Luke, I'm putting Force Reflexes and Force Push. Big surprise. That's pretty much it for him. So he's a 185. For my core choices, I'm only going to go with 4 Rebel Trooper units to begin with. I know I was kind of advocating going with 6 right off the bat, but I really want to try out the speeder. So you're going with 4 core, Rebel Troop or extra Rebel Trooper in each one of them, targeting scopes on the 2 Z6 units, and then the other 2 are going to run Ion Troopers. And the Ion Troopers will also have the impact grenades because they're going to be my designated
tank killers
vehicles. Yeah. Run ATRT with the rotary blaster and the T-47 with Wedge and the long-range comlink.
Nice.
So, yeah, I think Wedge with offering that 360 pivot,
he's only a 5-point upgrade, and it's so much flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not put anything in the rear arc hard points.
Okay.
I've seen
not
some,
even the buzzer or the
buzzer
harpoon?
wasn't
Harpoon's
that
like
expensive,
8 points.
But I feel like then you're almost you're not. I want to keep everything in my front arc. So if I need to go buzz pass and do a barrel roll or whatever the like I was in the Air Force or anything. What's it called when you do a Y turn?
A K turn.
K turn.
Do a K turn.
Yeah. Whatever the term is, basically, whip back around. I feel like if you're leaving your rear arc open for something like that, I don't know. It's not as effective of a weapon. So for the extra points, the harpoon's
I can
cool.
see that. If you're a master general such as you are, that can always dictate exactly how the field of fires are going to be dictated.
It's the dice. It's not.
Oh no!
He has the dice luck. He's that guy.
But yeah, I think the harpoon's got a cool little nifty mechanic to it too. But I just see it being very situational. Like
sure,
as in probably.
But an 8-point situation that can really shift a game.
Yeah, that was 8 points, and the buzzer's 20, right?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, and my list was up to 798, so I wasn't really going to try to squeeze 20 more points in there, and I wasn't going to strip down the troopers at all.
Man, I say ditch the grenades, keep the ion troops, and keep them away. Getting them into range 1 to throw grenades, oof.
See, but I'm expecting there to be somebody who's going to try to run a two ATST list.
Yeah,
and
okay.
If I've got to be sitting back there, I'm going to move those guys up because that's pretty much the only way it's going to be able to handle a 2 ATST list.
I think we found out yesterday that Ion was surprisingly effective in our game.
It was, yeah. I mean, it really kept the speeder bikes from being able to run
we're down
too much.
to 2 actions, but with the compulsory move. But still, it was. Ugh.
Yeah, I see them being a bigger component when the ATST hits the board because. Using them on the
in like 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Well, using them against the speeder bikes were good, but honestly, I think from the other games I played, the Z6 chewed through them faster.
Oh yeah, no, you just wait a fire and
yeah. I think just killing them straight out is even more effective than just stopping them from doing one move because they can still do their compulsory move happens automatically anyway, and you're still probably going to shoot. So it either prevents you from aiming or prevents you from moving a second time.
And God forbid that compulsory move is into you and it displaces you, and then you're just in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that's going to be interesting to try to play with is with the T-47 is getting used to the displacement mechanic because as a rebel, I've not been able to do that yet. So have you got a chance to tool around with any lists? You brought the Imperial list yesterday.
Yeah, so I kind of briefly went over it, but so this is going to end up being very similar to Josh's because I envision a lot of people are going to be having the situation where they do the double core set swap and having double Imperialists, basically what was available. But mine came out to 797. It was Vader with Battle Meditation, Saber Throw, and the Force Reflexes. So that was really nice. Then we had 4 squads of Stormtroopers, 2 of them with the rocket launcher upgrade, the HH-12 or whatever that is, plus concussion grenades because you have a few extra points to play with. So, hey, why not give you some options? And then the other 2 with the DLTs. All the units had the extra Stormtrooper associated as well, so max units with the heavy weapon upgrades. The 2 DLTs had grappling hooks just in case I need to clamber onto some buildings, which could have been a interesting point of the game if we didn't realize it was area terrain for grabbing this.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought I was going to have to go jump on top of a building and grab it. So
yeah, I was thinking Luke might have been the only guy who could actually jump on.
Yeah, jump up on top and take it for the rebels. But so those, and then 2 units of speeder bikes with the long range communications, and between the battle meditation and the long range comms, I didn't really have too many issues, issuing orders where I needed to. Even after I realized that I had issued them without that in mind and was probably cheating. But no, it looks like I was okay.
It seems like long-range comm is just pretty much an auto take on any of the repulsor vehicles, the speeder or the T-47.
Yeah, because they're going to move so far away, just even with the compulsory move.
If you care at all about activating them when you want them to, like I wish there was a unit of like speeder bikes that was stuck in the middle of a bunch of rebel troops, and it's like, wow, I'd love to be able to activate this guy and just get him out of trouble, but nope, didn't pull him, so I guess I should have allocated a token early on.
So as far as the Imperial list, in case you're wondering if you're going to be seeing the exact same Imperial list on day 1, there is a way to squeeze 2 ATSTs and Vader in the same list.
With 3 core units?
With 3 core units. So just tooling around.
Okay, that's the list that I'm doing.
Just tooling around with the. You can take Vader and still have Saber Throw on him.
Ooh.
3 units of 3 units of bare bones stormtroopers for 44 points each, so it's 132 points total, and 2 bare bones ATSTs at 195 each. That brings you to 732 points. So you can either toss a couple more weapons on the ATSTs, throw some upgrades on your stormtroopers.
Third ATST maybe?
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
You can only take 2 heavies at this point.
I mean, you can. You just got to cheat.
If you want more ATSTs than friends,
I brought 900
then
points,
you might be able to do it.
What's a friend?
So let's talk about your experience at GAMA. You had a chance to sit down with Zach Reyburn, correct?
Yeah, no, he is the head of OP at Fantasy Flight Games, and a really nice guy. He actually was a Vegas local here before he got hired on there, so kind of had, hey, I know you situation. But yeah, it was really nice hanging out with him and chatting with him. But it was really exciting. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of like big reveals while I was up there. Again, there was a lot of live streaming going on, so a lot of people, I was trying to take pictures early on, and then I was finding other people posting up the same content, and I was like, oh, okay, they're all watching this the same time I am. So, but I did get to ask the question about the mats there. Sitting with Zach, he was able to go through, basically laid out the organized play program for Legion going forward, and it's really exciting. I don't want to talk about it too much because you're going to hear it in a minute, but there's a lot of flexibility and opportunity for casual players and very competitive alike, so that is very exciting. Seeing they obviously had demo boards set up there in the big exhibitors hall. A lot of people getting demos coming by. I think I saw just about everybody with a Legion kit under their arm for signing up for the demo programs or whatever, and that's how I was able to get my second kit. But this is going to be a big game, and I really hope it continues steam because there's a lot of excitement, at least in the retailer community for this. A lot of opportunity for fun and hopefully to build community. But overall, very fun event. I always look forward to GAMA each year, and definitely will be going back next year.
Awesome. Well, we'll get over to the interview right now. In the meantime, we'll try to preach to Josh the value of taking Saber Throw.
Hi, this is Matt, and I'm fortunate enough to be joined today with Zach Reyburn, head of Organized Play at Asmodee North America. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing wonderful. We're very interested to hear, there was a lot of information that you laid out today for the future of organized play and Star Wars Legion. I was hoping you could kind of take us through it and see what's in store for all the players.
Sure. I'd love to kind of go through all this exciting materials that are happening at the local game store where we really think communities are built. So
fantastic.
The main offering that we're going to have for the game is these ground assault kits. So these are our recurring seasonal kits. They're a way for regular play to happen in stores around the world. And each of these kits is used for 3 months. However, the way retailers can use it can vary. There's a couple of different ways that we recommend. And so those 3 months, each month you'll utilize an operation, which if you can think of basically a campaign that's maybe a little bit easier to understand and get through over the course of a month. Those operations are going to be about 4 games each. There'll be some variation down the road somewhere, but we're going to try and keep it to right around 4 games. And then those individual operations themselves, they'll have the instructions in them for the different ways that retailers can use them. So one way that they could use it is they could schedule 1 monthly event, right? So in that situation, you have a store that has enough organized play gaming space for all their interested players to come and attend at once.
Sure, more of like a standard tournament setup.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have plenty of tables, terrain, all that kind of cool stuff to offer for people to come in and play. And that would happen once each month, and you usually schedule that probably on a Saturday or Sunday and play 4 rounds, basically, 4 games in that one day. So the entire operation over the course of that one day. The other way you could do it is weekly events, where you basically schedule people to come in on your choice of either a weeknight or a weekday. Weeknight or a weekend, and they're going to be scheduled to come in and play 1 game, right? So of course they can play pickup games afterwards, but that 1 game is going to be one of the 4 games in the operation.
And they report their results, or just they track it somehow with the store running the kit?
Correct. The kit itself comes with a tracking sheet in it for the 8 players. Basically, there's some cool achievements that they get to earn each month. The the achievements vary from month to month. So you'll have one month where the achievement is, try to win by a certain amount of points, or maybe another achievement another month is, did you get the objective that was the special objective rule for this operation. So,
okay. Is there any kind of ongoing narrative between the different parts in the kit?
So it's definitely, one game will affect another in most cases. So
okay.
things like, escalation is a popular way that people engage with games. So we're definitely doing that one very soon out of the gate.
Oh, great.
And then there's other, things that go on like, based on whether somebody captured this objective or not during last week's game, this happens during the next following game. And how that applies will vary between the monthly, weekly, and the last option, which is freeform. So if you're a store that maybe only has 1 or 2 miniature tables, you can't fit, a full tournament of all your interested players at the same time. What you can do is say, players, please find a partner to come and sign up with. If you don't have a partner, I'll take your email address and we can try and find you a partner as somebody else comes up.
Facilitate some games between the different players. Sure.
Exactly. And then basically they come in and play their games in your store over the course of the month at their own leisure. So this works well for people who maybe also just have very demanding jobs or demands on their time, family requirements. So it helps them be flexible in terms of how they can play. And each time they play that game in the store, they report the results to the owner. So for example, coming back to the operation where maybe did somebody capture this objective or not during the previous week? Well, that matters, and in a thing where you're playing the same person every week for the freeform option, you're going to know what your result was last week, so it'll apply to your game based on the results of your game. But in like a weekly event, you're not going to play the same person, on a weekly basis. You'll get paired up against somebody else. So basically, then it says what happened as a majority over everybody that played that previous round, and the same thing on the monthly event where it's one tournament over the course of one day. You'd have the people saying, okay, first round, at the end of that round, did more people capture the objective than not? Great, then that's the outcome that we're going to use for the following round. So it applies a little differently depending on how you do the events, but it's a great way to
it's great to have that kind of flexibility for the different store levels and whatever gaming groups you might be part of. So we've got that with those kits. I assume we can expect like the normal kind of like full art promos, tokens, that kind of thing in those kits? Yeah,
we've got some exciting opportunities there to kind of vary around the prizes. Some of the earlier ones, in fact, the very first kind of iteration of this kit that instead of having 3 months worth of stuff, has 2 months worth of stuff because that's the remaining time in the season as the game comes out.
Makes sense.
But that first iteration is going to have some really cool tokens in it for people to come and get.
Exciting.
I'm excited when I believe we showed those off today. They are yesterday. They are command tokens. So there's a gold one for the Rebels and a silver one for the Imperials, and they've got the Imperial symbol on there, and they're great for after your commander goes down in battle, you got to say, okay, now my commander is this stormtrooper or is this other person.
Oh God, help.
Yeah, exactly. But it's it's good to be able to designate somebody else, and it's a really cool upgrade. That's kind of what most of our prizes focus on, is being a way to show that you came and engaged in an event. Hopefully, if you get one of the top prizes, that you did really well in the event. But the great thing about these kits and the focus of this program that we have out there is that this isn't hyper competitive focused.
Okay.
A lot of the prizes are available purely by playing all 3 or 4 of the games. So it's definitely a way that we're branching out a little bit in terms of how we think about competition as a focus for in-store play. This doesn't need to be as focused in that direction, but if you do compete and you do well, you have a little bit more opportunity to win additional prizes. So.
Okay, great. So that's kind of your standard seasonal kit that we're going over now.
Yeah,
what's our next option?
Well, let me tell you about 2 other things in there really quick. So there is patronage reward cards. So if you're a player and you go into your local game store and buy a product for Star Wars Legion in there during a season, they'll have some prize cards to award you if you're coming and playing in the events as well. To say thank you for your continued business.
Extra door prizes to get people excited about.
To some degree, it's definitely something we want to relate to the idea that the stores that are running events, they're the places that are supporting the game, and we want to make sure people understand that supporting them by making your purchases there for that game is important. That's something we want to reward. So that's what the patronage cards are great for.
So you've got a lot of latitude on how you want to price them out to people. Hey, welcome to the game. Here's some cool promos.
Of course. And one thing about these is that when I talk about the 3 months of operations that are out there, we'll be providing those recommended operations, and there'll be 3 different ones. But down the road somewhere, we might come back and say, okay, everybody loved this operation from season 2 of 2018. Let's do it again for season 1 of 2019 or something.
Oh, awesome.
So we could kind of come back to things that people loved and enjoyed. At the same time, as a retailer, it gives you flexibility as well. We describe a lot of our in-store kits as a Lego set of sorts, where comes with instructions for how to build exactly what the package says it is. But if you're a master builder, if you know how to run better events or you know your player community better, feel free to build a crazy spaceship instead of a city police station or whatever Lego set you bought that week. So as a retailer, you could do something like, oh, I'm going to pick this operation that people loved a couple months ago, instead of the one that's scheduled that was recommended by FFG. You could also do something like, I'm going to make my own operation, and I'm going to do something really cool, because the prizes are tailored to fit into a model that people can understand, in terms of earn some achievements, get a better chance to win some things. Here's the prizes that you get for, participating at the maximum, and then here's ones you might get for doing well in those events.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then lastly, there is a painting contest in there as well.
Oh, I know. John was very excited to hear about that.
Indeed. So we're going to rotate through the different types of units that are out there. 4 of them have already been revealed and are coming in the first wave and some of the coming expansions. So there's the trooper units, which I believe are corps. Then you've got your heavy units. You've got your vehicles, and then there's the commanders, right? Yep. And then lastly, the 5th one that'll come out is the special forces. So.
Oh boy!
Looking forward to the first time we show off some of those.
Oh man, I think we're all very excited for that.
Indeed. So we'll rotate through those, and then in addition, we'll do one for fully painted armies. So if people want to do kind of a cool setup, build a diorama, something like that.
I'm sure there's a few people would be interested.
Just a
in
few,
doing
I
something
imagine.
Like
yeah,
that.
And we'll do that one last through the rotation. So maybe it'll help people, paint up their models unit at a time, and then. Hey, make that diorama towards the end. So yeah, we're really excited about this opportunity. Like I said, not as competitive focused at this level. We're looking for something that's a lot more community-based, getting everybody in the door.
Build community,
exactly.
Promote the hobby, promote the game.
Precisely.
Hopefully everybody has fun.
Indeed. So, the more competitive side of things.
Oh yeah.
So there are definitely players who are going to be excited about competing, showing that they know the rules and know how to build an army to the best specifications and take advantage of all the efficiencies and all that good stuff. And we hope there's an equal amount of players that are just interested in making their army look really cool and playing with the figures that they love.
Sure.
And by no means are we saying that they cannot participate in some of these competitive events. But the competitive events there, will have prizes up at the top end to reward those players that are coming in and looking to be the best, to be the best commanding commanders
I can
of their
Star Wars
armies.
better than you can Star Wars.
I guess so, yeah.
On any given day.
So that event that'll be happening for Star Wars Legion is called the Rally Point Qualifier. And basically what we're looking at here is if you are used to, kind of recurring store championships for some of the other games that we've supported in the past, like Star Wars Destiny, this is more aimed a little bit above that. So we're looking for something that's a little bit more of a prestigious competitive environment than a typical store championship would be. But this isn't going to be something that's exclusionary. So I'll get to that in a second, how more stores can participate in this program. But there's going to be substantial prize materials in there. Obviously, we're not prepared to talk about exactly what those prizes are or when exactly this kit will be available later this year.
But a pretty robust kit.
Exactly, very, very robust. That will offer a qualification for a culminating championship. Some more details that we'll be revealing in April about how that works. But basically, we're going to have a system that gets us up to World Championships in Roseville.
Very exciting.
And there'll be a culminating event that is part of that track up. So pretty excited to share details about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about those.
Indeed. So the support assets that will be in there also include some things for the store themselves. So cool things to kind of flavor your store to Star Wars Legion. Table numbers, banners, cool items like that.
Awesome.
And then this is all, going to be an inclusive criteria-based store application where we're looking at stores that can accommodate the number of players that we see participating in one of these events, which, a lot of stores out there may have, very robust player communities, but maybe they just don't have that much space. And so if they're willing to go out and get a space for this event, we're totally willing to work with them.
Okay.
But we are looking for something where we can accommodate what we feel the importance of this event will be in our in our championship kind of road.
Any idea what kind of player count we're looking at for something like that?
I can't share those details quite yet,
Okay,
but I will be looking forward to what the response is. And as I say with everything that we do, it's all iterative, right? You know, we're always looking to improve and do better, take feedback, and make things that are going to make our communities happy, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. Like we're definitely in the business of making people able to enjoy their games more, and so we want to do that as often as possible.
Sounds great. Is there anything else in the future we might be looking forward to? So we're guaranteed going to have Legion at Worlds, it sounds like, because there's a track building towards it.
It is indeed. Not this year's Worlds, just because the game will just have come out. But,
obviously.
But we'll definitely build towards the track for a World Championship for the game next year. And we've got some other exciting opportunities for people to play at conventions that we're going to be talking about. So keep your eyes on some cool places like Nova has announced that we'll be working with them on some cool events.
Right.
And the guys at Adepticon are doing some great things that we posted about on the website a little bit.
Doing that release weekend.
Yeah, and that's just the release there that weekend. I'm sure next year we'll have some really exciting things to talk about as well. And then we're doing some cool things at Gen Con as well, so look forward to that.
Great. Well, I can't wait to hear any more details about this stuff and the more competitive and the fun side of this hobby that so many of us are really excited for. But Zach, thanks so much for taking the time again. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you around soon.
Yeah, happy to talk to you. Thanks for the time.
Well, thanks to Zach for sitting down and talking with us, and I want to thank you guys both for joining me for another wonderful episode.
It's always fun.
The Legion Outrider podcast. Make sure you guys check us out on our social media handles, whatever those are, Josh.
It's facebook.com/Legion Outriders. No in there, sorry. And it's at Legion Outriders on Twitter. That's where you can find us. And just since I know you guys are wondering, an update on our friend in Russia. We're still sitting at 2 downloads from Russia. So apparently our friend in Russia did not like my in Soviet Russia joke from the last one. And
well, they had an election last week, so
they did.
They're probably busy.
Yeah, busy stuffing ballot boxes or something. So, yeah.
But definitely pay attention this week. If you have liked us on Facebook, we'll be sending out the announcements when we start up the live stream, so you can come and chat and hang out with us and get in on all the Legion launch fun goodness.
And if we do put a time in there and forget to mention it, we are Pacific time here because we're in Las Vegas.
We'll probably be starting around 5 or so.
Yeah, so that'll be 8 o'clock for those of you on the East Coast, and I'm way too tired to do the math for our friends in Europe. So.
Oh yeah, that's way too.
It'll
early.
be tomorrow.
It's early. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Outriders. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Legion Outriders podcast.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
For more from the Outriders, make sure you like us on Twitter at Legion Outriders, subscribe to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Legion Outriders, and make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.